Fabulous. So, hey everyone, my name is Elise. I'm the lead organizer at Rights and Democracy. If you're new to Rights and Democracy, or RAD, we are a bi-state grassroots organization, and we work within communities in Vermont and New Hampshire to create mass popular change. We're a multi-issue organization, and we focus on economic, racial, social, community, and environmental justice. And we really see all of these issues as interconnected. So welcome to our first weekly Take Action Tuesday call. These calls will offer ways for people to take action in Vermont that will help build our popular movement and create lasting change in our state. So we know that there is a lot of frustration nationally, but we also have a lot of work to do here at home. And we really believe that the best defense is a good offense, and that the work really starts locally. So these calls are designed to connect folks to the organizations and issues that need your voice and need volunteers in order to succeed. So tonight, our first guest is Mark Hughes of Justice for All, and Mark has been leading up a coalition of organizations pushing for legislation in the Vermont State House to create a Racial Justice Oversight Board, whose job it would be to ensure that Vermont's laws designed to undo racial bias in the state are being met, and that those who have to carry out those laws are held accountable. So just to let everyone know, we are going to be taking audience questions during the call. So if you have a question for Mark, just send a direct message to RAD staffer Shay Totten. That will be via the chat form that you can find at the bottom right corner of your screen. And Shay is going to be passing along questions to Mark and myself. Awesome. So thanks so much for being on, Mark.
Absolutely. I'm glad that I was able to join, and I'm glad to have the relationship that we have with Rights and Democracy, Elise. I just wanted to for those who are on the call, just briefly introduce myself again. My name is Mark Hughes. I'm a Flatlander from Iowa, and I've been in the state now for about 8 years. And just over the last couple of years, my partner and I co-founded an organization. This organization is called Justice for All. Seeing the need after several incidents of African Americans being killed at the hands of law enforcement officers across the United States in 2014, what we thought we would do is to come up with an approach here, here locally, whereby we would be able to address these and similar challenges. So our mission is to pursue racial justice within Vermont's criminal justice system through advocacy, education, and relationship building. And that's what we've been doing in terms of building relationships with law enforcement, as well as working in the local communities. I wanted to get into a little bit about what it is that we're actually doing as an organization, have some conversations about that. But I think I might try to share my screen with you here a little bit. Let's see how possible it is. People tell me what you see here. I'm kind of a little bit of, let's see here. How are we looking so far? I mean, do we...
Yeah, so I don't see anything on your screen right now, Mark.
No? Well, doggone it.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about, what we're doing as an organization, and just give a brief overview. Like I said, co-founded the organization, and there's establishing some context of where we operate from. We work from a place of implicit bias, and we just want everybody to understand that this nation, it's founded, it was stolen essentially in genocide and built on the backs of slaves, from Reconstruction to the war on drugs. Implicit and explicit bias has caused us challenges as a nation, and it has occurred in form of institutionalized racism, and it has impacted us more in the justice system than any other system. Oh, who do I see? I see people. Hey, Bill. Maybe I should show my picture. No, everyone would go away. I want to share just a few numbers with you here. I think that you know, what really speaks to me from this slide is that, you know, these numbers are African Americans. Let me just talk you through the first line, and then you can put it all together. 35% of the 800,000 people in local jails, that is to say 280,000 people, are African Americans, and that's how this slide kind of reads. I think important to note it here is in Vermont, we've got some significant challenges ourselves. Okay. You know, how we've come to operate as an organization is to be able to speak in terms of, you know, what our principles are. You know, we believe, you know, that our peace officers should be accountable. They should be measured by us, and they should be prosecuted independently. We think that policies should be made public, and they should be in the best interest of the communities, and that diversionary tactics should be taken in order to address crime. We also feel like reform and moratoriums are the way to go to address racial justice. I think criminal justice, rather. I think a big part of you know, what it is that I've come to tell you is right here in this slide. If there's 3 things that I told you that Justice for All did, these would be those things. You know, what we're here to do is to seek towards the empowered and healing communities, renewed trust and transparency, and a justice system transformation. You know, I wanted to tell you. I'm just going to skip over some things here and talk a little bit about some of our ongoing activities. You know, we are a part of the Fair and Impartial Policing Committee of the State Police. We've also participated in the Law Enforcement Professional Regulation Committee, as well as an ongoing campaign that we have in play with Black Lives Matter Vermont. We have a police oversight campaign in play. Recently, we launched Justice for All Radio. We've got some other media functions that'll be coming down the pike. One of the things that we thought was really important in just a short period that we've been around is the need to begin to address this whole idea of the challenges that we have in Vermont, and how we do that. You know, we do that by you know, ongoing activities in communities. That's to say, film viewings. We have other outreach opportunities, perhaps. You know, community action events. We have various other outreach events. We do some in conjunction with other organizations like our good partner Rights and Democracy. But we also even, you know, we have activities like maybe cookouts and things of that nature, just to bring the communities together, to build the bridges across the communities, as well as, at the end of the day, build those bridges back into the organizations. Building those bridges back into state and local leadership and law enforcement and elected officials. I can give you a brief bit about what you can do. We've got membership opportunities, and there's various support levels. There's strategy partner opportunities, and then within the organization, there's always something to do. So I'm not going to harp on a lot of this right here, because I would expect folks to come out to our third Wednesday of the month, the third Wednesday of the month at the Unitarian Church in Montpelier. I stand corrected. My communications director, my communications coordinator just looked at me and shook her head and said, "Isn't that Thursday?" It's the third Thursday of every month at the Unitarian. It is the Unitarian Church, right? Thank goodness. So it's the third Thursday of every month at the Unitarian Church. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. I'm just flipping through slides right now just to give folks an opportunity to think about some of the things that they might want to be involved in. There's a lot of folks that we found just over the last number of weeks, couple of months, just looking for things to do because there's just so much frustration out there, and there's so many organizations, there's so many new organizations that are lifting off the ground. Well, folks, we've been doing this since the beginning or the middle of 2014. We're throwing stuff out that doesn't work. We're picking up stuff that does. It's great to get new blood in the door to tell us new things that we can be doing. Folks come in with new initiatives, and I think that in a nutshell, that's what we're here to do. I think what I'd like to do right now is to tell you a little bit about the current initiative right now. Elise, how are we doing on time right now?
We're doing great on time, Mark. We've got about 10 minutes.
Great, fantastic. So I want to tell you a little bit about the initiative that's in play right now. I'm calling it a little bit of an initiative, but it's really what we decided to do at the beginning of this session. Towards the end of last session it became increasingly clear that it is important for us to be focusing on legislation. So a bill was introduced. I crafted this bill. Justice for All put it forward. It was introduced by Representatives Morris of Bennington, Christie of Hartford, and Gonzalez of Winooski. And there was an identical bill that was introduced in the Senate, introduced by Senators Polina, Brooks, Ingram, and White. The subject is Law Enforcement, Fair and Impartial Policing, Racial Justice Oversight Board. The bill proposes to establish the Racial Justice Oversight Board to manage and oversee the implementation of racial justice reform across the state. So essentially, this is an act that's relating to the implementation of an oversight board. Let me tell you what we've come up with so far. First of all, I want to just frame this historically, okay? Never in Vermont's history has there ever been a racial justice oversight initiative that has been put forward in the legislation to this magnitude, ever. This is the first time in history. Along the way, we've built a coalition to include Rights and Democracy and many other organizations of about 30 members, okay? That coalition includes 350 Vermont, Act for Social Justice, Black Lives Matter Vermont, Central Vermont Showing Up for Racial Justice, Champlain Valley NAACP, Community Council of Accountability with Law Enforcement Officials, Green Mountain Crossroads Vermont, Green Mountain Self-Advocates, Green Mountain Will Miller Chapter of Veterans for Peace, International Socialist Organization, Legal Aid, Lost River Racial Justice, Main Street Alliance, Migrant Justice, Peace and Justice Center, Outright Vermont, PFLAG of Dorset, Vermont, Rights and Democracy, the Sierra Club Vermont, Vermont Cares, Vermont Center for Independent Living, Vermont Interfaith Action, Vermont Workers Center, Vermont Network Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, the ACLU of Vermont, Vermonters for Peace and Justice in Palestine and Israel, Vermonters for Criminal Justice Reform, and the United States Prisoners' Rights Defense League. Now, the reason I went through that whole list, and hopefully nobody went to sleep, is I wanted to give a shout out to all of the folks who stepped up, all of the leadership that was involved in having our back. So when we walk through the State House every day, that they don't just see one person, but they understand that there's this coalition of folks that are standing behind us to get stuff done. That being said, I just want to pause for a minute, I just want to, I really haven't had the opportunity to take a look at my facility here in front of me to see if there was any way that there was questions being routed or whether there was anybody trying to chime in. Are we good to go?
Yeah, it doesn't look like there are any questions right now.
Yeah, I had that effect on people. I can be pretty boring at times.
Well,
okay?
You're doing a great job at laying this out, Mark. But as questions come in, once you're done with your presentation,
Sure.
we'll let you know. But yeah, folks who are on the call, if you have any questions for Mark, just feel free to chat Shay whenever. Absolutely.
So I'll just continue, and then I'll just be wrapping up here in just a couple of minutes. I wanted to make everybody aware of the fact that this bill, this bill, as well as its sister bill S116, so H492 and S116, they are in House Judiciary and Senate Judiciary respectively. In House Judiciary, the term we use is it's come off the wall. In other words, they've opened up testimony for this bill, and there's been a lot of it. What has happened is that as recent as today, there's been testimony taken on it. Our original focus on this bill was to address, primarily, initially at least, to address the work that's being done in the criminal justice system. Let me tell you why. The reason why is in 2012, an act called Act 134 was passed, and it was called Racial Disparities in the Criminal Justice System. And what it sought to address is just that, racial disparities in the criminal justice system. We were seeking to address some of the challenges that we had already identified as being challenges in the criminal justice system in terms of, and I guess the best way to say it is we found this out from data collection from some pioneer organizations like the Uncommon Alliance up in the Burlington area and the 4 police agencies up there. And I think what's important to say about this is that it focused on racism from an institutional or an implicit perspective, and it also addressed sentencing, policy, data collection, training, the complaint process, and also other justice system workers. Unfortunately, the approach was walked back over about the last 5 years to focus primarily on law enforcement. Today, there's been no further action taken on the sentencing report. There remains uncertainty surrounding the policy statewide, and we continue to struggle with data collection. Completion of our statewide training and the introduction of our in-service training on implicit bias is still a couple of years out. And the unified complaint process, it hasn't been established, and little or no attention has been given to the remainder of the criminal justice system to address racial disparities. So here we are today in this state where 14 African-American males, 1 in 14 African-American males are incarcerated in Vermont. We all know that African-Americans continue to be stopped and searched at disproportionate rates across the state as well. And we also learned that this year, over 15% of the use of force cases reported by the Burlington Police Department involve African-Americans, where there's only 3.8% of African-Americans in Burlington. We actually learned during these proceedings down here just this last week that Black youth have been, on average, 340% more likely to go to Woodside over the past 4 years. And further, we've also learned that in the last year from reports of Dr. Seguino and Dr. McDevitt from Northeastern, as well as Ashley Nellis from the Color of Justice of Sentencing Project, that the facts, they bear out that the problem in Vermont is actually worsening. So what we were trying to do is we wanted to try to focus on the criminal justice system first, to be able to look at, where we've failed or haven't been able to provide the appropriate level of accountability and transparency in the deployment of policy and training, as well as data collection across the law enforcement, and then look at ways in which we can continue to spread that approach across the remainder of the criminal justice system. That is, being prosecutors, defenders' offices, judges, as well as corrections. That was our initial approach. Now, mind you, what we wanted to do is obviously we wanted to spread these strategies in terms of a long-term goal. The board we've always envisioned this board providing recommendations on the implementation of these strategies across employment, housing, education, and health services. So the last thing I'll tell you is that the bill has been challenged. There has been a lot of concern from law enforcement lobbyists up to this point, and those who represent law enforcement, because they felt as though it has been an encroachment on what it is that they're doing, and they felt threatened, okay? We've got some fairly significant challenges, but we continue to fight. The bill doesn't look like it used to look, but it's our hope if we can get it out of the House, maybe we can get another pass at it in the Senate. Perhaps we can get some language back into the bill that we'd like to see. So with that being said, that's all I really had for you tonight. I really appreciate having had the opportunity to present to you folks tonight and to give you an update on what's going on with H492 and S116. Justice for All is privileged and really honored to have the opportunity to be in a leadership role of such a large and a extremely impassionate coalition. And it's been one heck of a ride, and we'll continue to keep you updated. So with that being said, if there are any questions, I'd be glad to take them at this time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for that update. So one question that we have is, what can people do to fight these challenges? What specifically, I guess, is the challenge that is being posed to these bills and moving forward, and the changes that are being made? And then what can people do? What actions can folks take and get their friends to take to make sure that we get this, through the House or Senate?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for that question. And the question is what specifically are the challenges? And the second part of that question is what can people do and what can people tell their friends do to get involved here? Okay, so the specific challenges, really, they were almost invisible at first. And as they began to surface, again, it's coming largely from lobbyists on law enforcement. There are some of you on the call who are on the call who remember this last summer when things started to get crazy, and then we had some really unfortunate and sad and regrettable incidents where law enforcement were actually being targeted and killed in Louisiana and in Dallas. And that created a rift, and then an organization called Blue Lives Matter arose. Now, you may think I'm digressing, but I'm not really. What I'm trying to get at is that there are a lot of folks across this nation, to include our Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, and you will see that in an action that he just did today in an attempt to begin the process of rolling back fair and impartial policing and community-oriented policing. There's a lot of folks across this state and across this country who believe that, when people of color stand up and they ask for racial justice, or when they cry out against unfairness, that somehow or another that it's a direct result, a direct assault rather, on the police. There can be nothing further from the truth. The thing is that, a lot of times these are ways in which these are deflecting tactics, and sometimes just ignorance. And yes, indeed, we do have folks in this state. We have folks who are definitely we know and understand that there's challenges with the Department of Public Safety's new commissioner. We know that there's challenges and pushback with some of Vermont State Police folks, lobbyists, and other lobbyist organizations, and there are many. And what they're thinking is they're thinking that this organization is being installed and stood up to insert themselves into their way of life, and to tell them how to govern and what they do, and to hold them accountable. The truth is that they should be held accountable, and this should be an apparatus that the legislature uses to do just that. In terms of what folks can do, I want folks to go over, if you could please, and take a look at a website, and it's going to be a big one. It's called Racial Justice Reform Omnibus Bill VT.wordpress.com. Racial Justice Reform Omnibus Bill VT. I think I'm just going to put this up. .vt. wordpress.com. Another one is Racial Justice Reform Omnibus Bill on Racial Justice Reform Coalition on Facebook. But just go to our website, and that'll lead you everywhere. I'm just going to tell you what that is, and that'll make it easy. It's justiceforallvt.org, justiceforallvt.org. And you can also find us on Facebook, Justice for All VT. There's some instruction out there on the things that you can do. Obviously, if you dial 828-2228, that's where you'll be able to reach the Sergeant at Arms at the State House. There's material out there on our website and on Facebook and on the coalition page. Just follow over the coalition page. That's where everything is. It'll show you, the things that you can do in order to get involved. We have a Google Groups that's out there. We have a petition, H492 petition. There's a H116 petition. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll take this right now, and I'm just going to copy it in real time, and I'm just going to paste it right on my Facebook page on the front, so folks could just see that right away. But there's these Google Groups. One of these Google Groups, it is, if you mail to it, there will be a notification that goes directly to the all 11 members of the House Judiciary. There's another Google group. If you mail to it, it'll go through all 5 members of the Senate Judiciary. This is what you'll want to be asking for. What you want to ask for is you want to ask them to make sure that this bill is passed on to the full House for a vote this week. If you did that tonight, that would probably have an impact on the vote that they're going to have as early as tomorrow morning in order to do so. So again, I'm going to put that link right now as we're speaking up over on my our Facebook, I think I'm going to go to Justice for All VT's Facebook page, and I'm going to put a link up there that will tell you everything that you can do. It'll take you right out to the coalition page. Does that answer your question?
Great. Yes, that certainly answers our question. Unless anyone has any other questions that they want to bring forth, or Mark, do you have anything else that you want to add before we close out here?
No, I just want to say thanks for the opportunity for allowing us to come out and share with you today. And I'm really looking forward to supporting Rights and Democracy. I think we're going to be doing this on a weekly basis. Is that correct?
We are going to be doing this on a weekly basis. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for being on the call.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, for everyone for taking part in the call. We're going to be also posting this information on our website, including, names, emails, phone numbers of lawmakers and state officials who really need to hear from their constituents. So that's going to be at radvt.org. And yes, so our next call is Tuesday, April 11th, and we're going to have guest speakers to talk about the upcoming tax day rallies in Vermont and what, we can do to lessen the impact of the federal and state budgets on working people and the most vulnerable in our society and our environment. So we hope that you'll join us next week as well and help to spread the word about the calls. And if you have a topic that you'd like us to focus on in the future, you can feel free to just shoot me an email at elise@radvt.org. So yeah.
Super.
Great.
So that I've just posted that up on our Facebook page, that the Racial Justice Reform Omnibus page. Just wanted to let you know that it's there. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Mark, and thanks everyone on the call. And we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.